Good morning, YouTube. Welcome to another episode by the Happy Woodworker. Today we're picking right back up on our bread box build where we left off, and I'll tell you what I've done here. I've got all my tambours set out, and I have turned them upside down to keep the grain pattern the way I want. If you guys remember, I had them all numbered up this edge. So when they were laying out, I took them and just flipped each one over. That way the grain pattern is still the way I want. I have put on a bar clamp on each side, and it doesn't have to be super tight. All you're looking to do is close these gaps to make sure that no wood or no glue goes down in between. So I've done that. I've got them as flat as I can get them. If you think you need to, you can tap a little bit here and there. My bench itself is pretty flat naturally, pretty darn close to level, so if you also need to, you could put a sheet of something underneath it here to make sure you got them all flat if your workbench is a little wonky. Once you work on them for so many years, it happens. So what we're doing next is we're going to glue this with a piece of cloth. And I've used what I had laying around, which was some spare blue jean material. I have tons of this stuff because whenever I kill off a pair, I cut them up, turn them into rags. So I've been sizing these, blade them out to make sure they're going to fit. There are a few things that you're looking for here. You want to stay away from that 1/4 inch edge that goes up the edge here and up the edge here. You do not want to invade that with cloth. The next thing you want to do is you want to make sure you're not overhanging your bottom edge. It doesn't really matter about the top because it's going to be hidden and stuffed in the back, right? But that's your next step. If you've got overhang that you want rid of, trim it off. Which is what I've been doing this morning. I'm going to trim a little more off of this one. This isn't rocket science. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just close. This is the joining method that I went with. There was a couple other ideas that I had that I was thinking about. I was actually trying to think about drilling a hole through each one of these and running some kind of flexible like steel cable through it with a screw on each end. I wasn't 100% sure whether it would give me the amount of flex that I wanted, so I opted to go old school here. This is the way these were done 50 years ago. A lot of people still do them this way. I'm going to take a little bit off of this corner. Let's see how that fits. And get your straightest edge, you know, where you think you need it, where you can use it. That looks pretty good. If you've got some gaps here and there, not a big deal. I just don't want to invade that 1/4 inch along my edge. I want this one. Let's do that. I think you want a piece of cloth, by the way, that does not have a lot of flex to it. For that reason, I'm using a heavy denim. If you've got some kind of canvas, that's probably going to work even better. But you definitely don't want any kind of flex. What I mean by that is stretchiness. And these do kind of feel like they've got a little bit. So this may not be my best choice in the world for this. I may actually go look and see if I've got something else I can use. Continuing on, everyone. So we have our tambours laid out. I have cut a solid piece of cloth. I have taken care to make sure that I'm away from my 1/4 inch on the side here. That's very important. You don't want this cloth to invade that space where these are going to slide. And in a nutshell, no matter what you're using, whether you're using traditional canvas, whether you're using some cloth, the goal here is to put glue down on the back, put your cloth down, smooth it out, and that's what's going to hold all your tambours together. I just didn't want a whole lot of flex in mine. Just to be truthful, these will probably be just fine. But they felt like they had some flex to them, so I decided I'm going to use something else. I think traditional thoughts probably they used canvas because it was a thick, heavy material. This is a real light material right here. But it doesn't have a whole lot of stretch to it. So, and it's got almost no stretch at all this way. So it could also be according to how you lay your material out as well, right? So I don't want to overhang these edges. I don't want any glue in these edges. I don't want to overhang the bottom edge. The top I can always trim off later. You're not looking for perfection here. It doesn't have to be perfect. Your next step, I think I'll just go ahead and glue this and see how it comes out. You're going to take some glue. And I am using Gorilla wood glue today because this stuff seems to me like it sets up faster. Which for me is important. Well, this is going to take forever. I need to be around each seam. Well, actually, we don't have to be on the seams themselves. In fact, I don't know, it might be better if you're not on the seam. I don't really know. But that's the point of the bar clamps that I have installed on the sides here. It's going to make sure that the glue stays where I want it. And I've got a little synthetic brush that I use frequently to spread my glue out, because this is going to be more than enough glue to spread over everything that I want it to. See that? I particularly like this brush for spreading glue on the edges of things, and I don't want to get my fingers into it. Works great for that. And again, this does not have to be perfect. You're not shooting for perfection here. We're not creating a painting. I just want to get that glue spread out. It's going to soak into that cloth. Before you know it, we'll have a nice even coating of glue over all this. And I'll probably have to spread that glue a little bit further out as well. But I think I've got it out as far as I want to take it for the moment. If you're real picky, you could always mark some lines where your cloth stops. We're just going to wing it today. Okay. Next up, we're going to find our fabric. And we're going to lay it down right into our glue. Look at that, I got that just about perfect, didn't I? We're going to start from the middle and work our way out. already feel that glue penetrating right through. It's exactly what I want. And now, if you're real picky, take a spare piece of wood. You could use, oh, I don't know, some kind of roller. You could use a lot of different things to do this. I want to take some of the stretch out of this. Don't worry if you get some glue on the cloth, it's all going to soak right through it anyway, right? That's the goal here. So if I've done this right, it's that simple. It's also noteworthy that I took time beforehand to make sure I had these perfectly straight. And I did that by lining them against the edge of my bench and then shoving a board against the edge here that gave me a perfect 90-degree angle. If you have to and it's still a little big or you're a little out, you can always put it on a miter saw and just ever so slightly shave the edge here and there. That's why we have a full 1/4 inch track, just to make room for little accidents like that. Because every once in a while, you're going to run across something that just didn't do quite what you wanted to. Maybe you're just slightly out of square. Little things happen. Okay, I've got some extra room here. Let's get some extra glue into that. Not going to take a lot. I use 2 different brands of wood glue. I use Gorilla Glue and Titebond. I think I have found over time that the Gorilla Glue dries faster. Something crazy fast. In fact, I've put some on before and then realized I needed to take a board back apart for some reason just after it had set for a couple of, 3 or 4 minutes and could not get them apart. I'll turn an air filter on here before I get high on glue fumes. I'm just going to run some of that glue right over my edge here. Some of that excess glue. Hopefully that will keep any little fuzzies from developing later on. I don't know if that'll work or not, but we'll find out, right? Or I might have just made it a nightmare for myself if I've ever got to take it off, if it doesn't work. But there we go. So that's how we glued down our timbre tracks. And when this is dry, we'll take it apart, show you what it looks like on video. I'm probably going to set some saran wrap or something over top of this and set something heavy on it, just to make sure I've got everything nice and flat and level. It feels it, but you never know. So there we go. That's how we do that. And when we come back, we're going to actually be working some of the assembly. Thanks, guys. Hope you've enjoyed. Alright, it's been all day and the glue is dry, but for good measure I'm going to put some 1/4 inch staples into this just to make sure that it stays put where I want it to. I'm going to put at least 3 per piece. On this I'm being real careful with the end because I don't know how close I am in here to my edge. I can kind of see, but I'm using a heavy-duty stapler, heavy-duty staples. And those sink in there real well as long as you keep the stapler down. I'm going to go up to the top. For what it's worth, I did break these apart earlier today, just for a minute or two, and I was real careful not to stress or stretch anything. Alright. I don't see any cracking or anything in these, so I think we're good to go right through. Just take your time, line everything up. I'm going to hit an extra light so I can see what I'm doing. I suppose it's noteworthy to say that you could just staple these and not bother to glue this. This is an alternative method. I wanted to have both just for fun, because I'm picky. And don't mind my daughter in the background playing the piano. Her attempt at fame today. In the middle, you're going to have to be more careful. Where I just bent these, I can kind of see where my lines are at. But if you don't know for sure, don't shoot. Put me right here. We go. Not exactly a straight line, but that cloth's never going anywhere, even if the glue draws moisture and it tries to come loose. So we are now as sturdy as can be. You can see I've got no splitting or cracking or anything. That did absolutely what I wanted. Hope you all enjoyed. I'll upload this video shortly. Happy woodworking, everyone.